Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world.
I've been looking around for salvation. I've been looking around for the truth. All around me I see frustration, and I looked all over till I found you. I sit and listen to your stories, and you're telling me, please don't worry. There's a lot in this world you should know, and love in life is where you should go. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then love in life will guide you.
Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world, and welcome to tonight's live stream. And tonight, of course, we got Annari du Plessis joining us from Go Purple. But before we get on to the discussion tonight, I just want to welcome Wynand du Toit, Colonel Wynand du Toit, and Dr. Peter Hammond from Frontline as regular presenters on Loving Life TV. They will be uploading their own videos onto Loving Life TV. I think Wynand daily, and with the daily email that will still be sent out each day, you'll have a direct link to that email from Colonel Wynand du Toit, and of course when Dr. Peter Hammond puts videos up, you'll have a direct link to Peter's videos. So we're coming along really nicely. We've got several other people who we're hoping to get on as well, and I would say that we'll probably be looking at about the same number of daily new videos from our co-presenters, and so things will continue very much as before on Loving Life TV. There'll still be the daily email or daily newsletter. The forum will still be there with all the excellent links and stuff that Nat does, and of course Marius helps her with some videos and links as well. So not much is going to change, except you won't see much of this old fart anymore. That's the only change. So no loss there. All right, guys, I'm going to get our guest on tonight, and that's Annari du Plessis, as I mentioned earlier. And we're going to be talking about her foundation. Now, we spoke to Annari a couple of years ago, and of course she is famous for having this Go Purple Foundation, which looks after abused women and children. And my gosh, is this woman a dynamo? I mean, she really is. She's fantastic. All right, so let's get Annari on. Here we go. Okay, I just got a little technical issue here. All right. Okay, now it seems to be working. I don't know what happened there. Okay, here we go.
Hi Hi, Scott. I'm good, and you? Li- You, you know, Mos, it's like this. Listen, I've changed now again to the laptop because normally this phone that I wanted to use is getting very hot. So, uh, am I okay? Can you see me properly? Is everything okay? Okay. Okay, then I'm great. Um, well, um, you know what? They've been sitting here. Let me just quickly show you. They've been sitting here forever, but she's my favorite, not because of how she looks. It's because I got her from a lady who gave her away. You know, always at the trauma center, people will drop off stuff. And she had a lot of injuries. You will see that I've stitched her back together at the neck. She had a lot of wounds, and I had to fix her hair and all those wounds. And it was actually amazing. But right now, I'm not doing what I want to do with her and her friends. This is the other one that I have. We will go with our bully project to the schools. This is another one, symbolizing the difference between people. You know, we're not all the same, and we should appreciate one another's differences and not actually always try to change one another to become you or to become different, because we were created in a certain way. So yeah, I'm looking forward in using them, but right now we are busy with so many things. There's a new season for the foundation, and I'm very much excited about that. So yeah, this is my dolls, and they're going to be journeying with me for many years to come. And I think there will be coming more, and I'm very much excited about them. So they always here with me, always.
Oh, they're gorgeous. They're gorgeous. I had to mention the dolls. Okay, now,
I know.
Annari,
You,
you
I
mentioned.
just wanted to say, you don't know how many people talk to me on WhatsApp video calls, and then even on my Facebook lives, they want to know if they are for sale. And then I'm saying, no, you don't have money to pay for us, and they're not for sale. Yes.
No,
How
no,
are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Now,
Okay.
you mentioned during that initial discussion about the Go Purple Foundation, and that's been your mission for years now. Tell us what's happening at the foundation right now.
Well, I think the most important thing right now, Scott, is that we have realized that things cannot stay the same, meaning that we would have to look at appointing a social worker. We are busy since last year to try to build bridges with DSD, the Department of Social Development, although it's very hard because I believe that there are some individuals at the department that really wants to see circumstances change for social workers and to be um, more of help for children in need, families in need and care. But unfortunately, there are people higher than them, like Mr. Lesufi, who's always trying to break. I don't think he's ever built something, but that's my personal opinion, and I would love to look him into his eyes and tell him, show me what you have built. Because he's always trying to break down things that are already not working, but it's not, you know, if you break something down that is not working, make it at least better. So we are all waiting to see the new plans for the statutory organizations, because I did have a few conversations with some of the social workers who told me that a lot will change from the beginning of April. They themselves are not really sure what they will be doing in future. But yeah, we have to appoint. I'm now working for at least one social worker that could really completely take over what I have been doing for the past 10, 12 years in regards to children that are in need of care and protection. And the only reason being is that we, as an activist, don't have statutory rights. And they don't see us as people who can support. They see us actually, many of them see us as people who wants to interfere, who wants to tell them what to do. And that is the sad part. So in this new season, I have embarked on certain missions, and I will discuss it a little later, to actually be self-sustainable, by meaning that I'm saying so that we can have money that we don't necessarily need from the public to enable us to appoint social workers, especially social workers, and then I will collaborate on the rest of the changes as the evening goes by. But yeah, we need statutory social workers who can come and actually do what we as an activist or as activists in our country can't do. And that makes me excited because I'm really trying hard behind the scenes to build relationships with those individuals that sees their job as what it is, to protect and to serve a nation that is in really deep trouble when it comes to children that are not protected. I mean, right now, almost 4 children are killed every day in South Africa. That is the stats.
Yeah.
And that is heartbreaking. So I think you know that. I don't have to tell you that. So that is one of the most important changes, is that we would love in the next few months to appoint a social worker who's got the qualifications, a professional person who's got the qualifications to actually do what they then say we can't do. And we will see if that helps us to actually get to children and help children in a more effective and urgent way. So that is one of the changes that we are looking forward. So it is horrible, the moral decay in families, especially our white community, is it's shocking, Scott. I don't want to traumatize people by discussing the horrible things happening to children as we speak. But it didn't change one bit for the better since we last spoke. I think it's almost a year ago.
Yeah.
It went actually worse, from bad to worse. And that is something that we would like to see change, together with my activist friends in different towns, where they're also trying to find a way to make it better for children in our country. But it's not easy.
It's shocking when parents are the people committing the abuse against their own children.
It is indeed, and I think the most recent shocking events happening in our country is the went missing of little Jocelyn Smith, whose mother Kelly sold her allegedly for Muti to Sangomas for 20,000 rand. That is still, to be seen. We don't know the truth yet.
Yeah.
But Jocelyn is not the first one. We recently had the case, and I cannot disclose a lot about this case, but we were involved about a year ago in a case where 4 children were horribly neglected and not taken care of, and they were living in the most horrible circumstances, and they were taken to family for place of safety. And then at one stage, the social workers called me and said, Annari, those people are struggling, you need to take the children back. And I don't care to be used to do these awful things. And I remember that we sat in the car, I drove with these 4 children, and they were crying because they didn't want to go back. And I had an order to take them back to their mother. So I remember the little girl, the one that I'm going to tell you about now, begging me, saying, Tannie Annari, please don't take me back to my mother. And I had to, and I cried. I cannot remember. I cried, and she cried. Everybody was crying. And I left them at their house, only to realize, I think it was at the beginning of the year, or was it now November? You know, time flies by. I read in our local paper about, and I'm not going to call any areas because I might be in trouble if I disclose this, because this case is ongoing, and I understand it might be trialed in the High Court. The investigating officer is trying to find a way to let these people be trialed in High Court. There's a difference, because if they go to High Court, they can get higher sentences than being trialed in a regional court. So then I read and I saw the house, and I realized this is the house where I had to take the children back. So the story is that the mother and her boyfriend at that stage sold this little girl that was begging me not to take her back, sold this little girl to businessmen, and in exchange for groceries. And I had to deal with the regrets in my heart, and I was absolutely devastated to think that she begged me not to take her back. And she didn't disclose anything to me, and I was so upset. So I spoke to the investigating officer, and then he explained to me what happened was, prior to this coming to the media, the other children were burned in a little wooden house that they stayed in. The mother were not there, so apparently the candle fall over, and it's our people, it's white people, and the mattress went on fire, and the children were hurt, and then these children were taken away, and it was only, she was now in place of safety again, and now she was disclosing the first time what was happening to her in the house, that she was sold, she and her sister were sold to these businessmen. And there were big arrest mates. There were 4 people arrested, including the mother. She's still in custody. I think they're all still in custody. And what I heard was from one of my police friends was that they are really trying and fighting hard to let this case be heard in High Court. And I am happy for that. So, yeah, Scott, it's horrible when we in South Africa, but I don't think it's just us. I think it's high in South Africa that people who are supposed to love their children and protect them is the same people who sell them, who sell their little bodies to enable them to get their drugs. In this cases, it was drugs and groceries. And that, for me in South Africa, is a big problem. But the problem is, and I will say this, I was threatened the other day by an advocate when I said that the Department of Justice was, what is the word, kaap? Hulle is mos gekaap soos captured. I said it in a Facebook Live, that the Department of Justice are captured because we don't see convictions. In fact, today I was informed by a mother that the case is not going to court. And it's a clear case. It's an old man in an area not far from here who's having sex with young girls in exchange for sweets, and because they are poor. It's poor children. So yeah, things are not going good in South Africa, and I believe it's not going to get better unless people go to the voting stations and we vote to find a new governing body in our country. It might change then, but up till then, we will have to work harder. I don't know if we can work harder to keep children in South Africa safe, and that's the sad story. Unfortunately, it's the sad story.
Who would you like to see in power if the ANC fell? Who would you like to see replace him?
Shoo, Scott, it's difficult for me if I look at the numbers. it would be foolish to. Let me talk about, is it the the Moonlight Pact, those political parties that are
The
together?
multi-party charter. Yeah.
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 But that will be a challenge as well, because politicians, for me, it's very easy to promise and we need to see change. That I agree on. But, some of them are on this side good, some of them are on this side good, some of them are on this side good. I'm not a politician, and I know that. Going back just for one moment to my arrest, I remember when Hope tried to get me out, the ANC Women's League said, oh no, it would be fine for her to get raped because it will make her case just a little bit stronger. And there,
What?
I realized that politicians, and I don't want to say all politicians, but
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't know, Scott. If I look at the parties, I think that group might be a good thing because they will hold one another accountable. I think so. Otherwise, the DA, I think the DA is doing a pretty good job in Midville, not far from us. They have received, I think, the 15th clean audit since 15th. I think the 15th, the 15th clean audit. So the DA is doing a magnificent job in Cape Town, what we hear and what we see when we go there. And then Midville, that is very close to me, is doing a great job. So let's give the DA a chance and see where it's going. But it cannot be the ANC any longer. But then also, Scott, the question is, if the ANC loses, will they hand over Somanet? Will they hand over and say, look, we realize we've lost it. What's going to happen in South Africa? And the people that are struggling, the victims in all of this, are the poorest of the poorest. And those people that are abused on a daily basis, but there's no help. Go and look at our police stations. It is scary. I mean, I'm so glad that I can say today, a year after our last conversation, that I can walk into a police station and there are a colonel who invites me in, and I can sit there and we talk. And it's then when you realize, and I will say this, and I think a lot of people have said it, the police, together with justice, is captured. And unless we get rid of Tsele with his arrogancy, because he's the problem, he sees the activist groups or the activists as people who means nothing. He's not appreciative. And that's why you will see police members. Look at in Diasville now, where Jocelyn was taken. Look how Gayton McKenzie and how those people are treated. And that's people that stays in Diasville, who loves a little girl, who wants to see her being found. And they will do like us whatever we can to find a girl, to help a girl. But according to the police, we out of our lanes. We should stay in our lanes. Now, that is the big thing in South Africa. When there is a child in need, what does it mean to stay in your lane? And do we stay in our lines as activists and let children die? Or are we going to find new ways? And that's why I say my biggest challenge now is to have enough money on a monthly basis to earn money, to work for money. And I will tell you later, I'm working very hard right now to be able to get money in so that we can appoint a social worker. And I will talk about our psychologist, Mariki, who cannot make it tonight. She wanted to, but she's not just able to do it. But on the next thing, you will hear her story and you will talk to her as well. But she came to me, and yes, we are looking forward to have a psychologist, a qualified psychologist who's beautiful, who loves people, and who will be able to help us at the center with victims that went through rape, sexual violence, abuse, whatever. And we are very much thankful for that. So yeah, a lot is it's going to be rough water for the next few weeks and months up until to the election, and then maybe after that. But I'm not afraid, because God is still in control. I'm still here. I'm not going away like many of the other activists that are really working hard in communities to make a difference. But we will never work without or outside the boundaries of the law. That's why I'm saying I need to find a social worker now. I need to appoint one, and she needs to do what I've been doing, because she's got the papers. I hope
Right.
you hear what I'm saying, because that's our only way forward.
Right. Well, look, just on the political side, there are three small, but they're bigger than the really small political parties. There are three parties which have a Christian foundation, and they are the ACDP, or the African Christian Democratic Party. There's the Spectrum National Party, or SNP, and there's Hope for South Africa. And I've actually had all three on live streams in the last year, and you know, they strike me as the real McCoy. I mean, South Africa is 80% Christian, which is hugely. There's a graphic that came out on Zero Hedge yesterday, and South Africa is one of the most Christian countries in the world, and it's weird that you've got a satanic political party called the ANC running a country where 80% of the people are Christian. It just shows how deceived people can be. Now, look, Keith has put a question in the side chat, which is really, really relevant to this whole discussion. He says the DA are not opposed to the Bella Bill. What do you think about that?
Oh, that's ridiculous. That's why I'm saying, Scott, don't ask me about politics, because right now, I would say, if you want to be working as a politician in South Africa, then hand up your salary. Come and work like the activists work in our country for mahala, but we're doing it because we want to bring change, we want to rescue children, we want to help. But they sit there, and I will say this to them, not all of them, there are those that are working hard, but the Bella Bill is nothing else like you've ever seen. They are messing up our country. I even said to somebody yesterday, if the ANC is not removed from government on the elections this year, I don't know what's going to happen to us for the next 5 years.
There's going to be a civil war. I tell you, I had a live stream with Colonel Wynand du Toit just 2 nights ago, and we talked about the election, and we talked about what's going on in the world. And Wynand said, he said, look, there's a huge probability that after or around the election time, there's going to be a civil war in South Africa. And people need to be aware of that, because unfortunately, the white community will be targeted. And, you know, he said that during our discussion, and it really made my blood go cold, because, you know, you look at what happened in pre-1994, where the white community voted for democracy based on an equitable rainbow nation. And what the ANC have done, I'm talking about the leadership and the members of parliament, is they've stolen everything blind. They've put their cadres in who've stolen everything. They've got tenderpreneurs. They've used every single way they can to steal from the public purse and to destroy the country. And yet they are so stupid that they can't see that they're doing that. It's a very, very sad state of affairs.
You know, Scott, I wish I could walk with you through the area where our trauma center is. And it is so disturbing for me. I say to many people that I get into a daily contact, I sometimes wonder, and I want to speak about our president now, Mr. Ramaphosa, but not even just him. I never see him doing footwork on ground level, where the tacky hits the tar, you know. I don't see him. I've invited him. I've said, come and work with me. Come and walk with me. If you see what Biza and Shakes and Gayton McKenzie are doing there in Diasville now. And even if I can talk about Neil de Beer as well, I didn't like Neil de Beer, but things that amazes me is that he says he did things that he's not proud of, and he's coming clean, and he's standing up, and him and what is that lady that is the deputy president, Fatima?
Oh yes, Fatima.
You know, yeah. Those people, I see them walk on ground level, and that impresses me, Scott. So if I could see politicians coming to NPOs and NGOs and offering their services to come and see what is needed to make us great again. What is needed? I've got a friend from Scotland who's visiting me now. She's going back next week. And when you hear how their social services are working in comparison to what is happening in South Africa, it is sickening. Because you can talk about children in need until you are blue in the face. Now I understand. There isn't money. There isn't enough places of safety. And then the court cases, I mean, they don't appoint children court magistrates permanently anymore. They are rotating them every 3 months. They rotate. So how a children's court magistrate is viewing a matter now can change in 4 months' time when there's a new presiding officer sitting in front or in the children's court. So some of these children court cases are never getting to a point where things are finalized. And if you see, I've got a case where, Scott, it is horrendous to see what is happening in courts. It is sickening. So I must also say, after my carte blanche interview with Siobhan's case, there was a lawyer firm who actually offered their services to the Purple Foundation. But because I'm so busy, I did not meet with them up until now. So in this new season, we see also that we will need to have a lawyer on board. And thank God for an organization, a big lawyer firm that says, Annari, we want to take hands with you. We've got the psychologists coming in and say, I saw you there and I really want to be part of you. And yes, I'm going to ask for social workers to come to the table, ex-cops that are streetwise, that knows how the law works. Come, let us try and find a way, because for me, I always said it, Scott, in the last 10 years, I was thinking if we could just bring 4 children dying every day in South Africa downwards, going like 3 children. I mean, we wouldn't have, I would love to say none of the kids are dying in South Africa or killed by, but it's not, just bring it down. But it has been rising. It has been rising.
Yeah.
So how are we going to stop this? And I don't know what political party, I mean, you can interview them, Scott, and then get me on one of them. I want to know, and that's what we don't see. What would any political party do in regards to children in South Africa? They are being exposed by the Bella, all this rubbish they are being taught in school. There are so many things. Our children are being exposed like never before. So when they are raped, they are being called names. When they are bullied, they become just more victim to the bullying. Nothing is working for children who does not have it easy in our country. So what would political parties do firstly? Because our children is the future of South Africa. And let me tell you this, Scott, this will shock you as well. And I can ask her if she's willing to talk to you. I spoke to a social worker at Mental Health about 4 weeks ago. And I was searching for help with a very troubled teenager. And she was saying to me, Annari, we cannot take in more cases. We are so overthrown with mental health issues with teenagers. They are violent. They are so disturbed. They are a danger to themselves, but also to their loved ones and the community. And there are no places where we can send these teenagers. So the mental health of children in South Africa is at a very low. And what do we do? Because look at the mental state of parents in South Africa. So it's the ANC together with a lot of other stuff. I'm shocked, not shocked. I when you say 80% of people in South Africa are Christians, then I'm just wondering why are 40% of married couples divorced?
Yeah. Yeah, no,
So
that's very true.
that 80% Christianity doesn't sit lekker with me, because we are struggling to get the churches on board when it's about domestic violence, when it's about poverty, when it's about children being exposed to horrible things. Where are the churches? So that 80%, and for many years I've been saying this, and they can hate me. You might hate the truth, hate me, but the truth is, unfortunately, look at our big churches. Where are the safety houses?
Yeah.
Big churches should have safety houses for women, for men, for children who are in need of care. But we don't see that. What's happening? So yeah, it is the battle in South Africa does not belong to one or two individuals. It belongs to all of us to come back to the table and say, but how will I change my home, my community, and then maybe go a little bit further. And unfortunately, there's no easy way out. It's going to be hard work and working together, building that bridges.
Well, look, I've got a suggestion. I'm just going to put this out to you. If you're interested, I'm going to suggest that Marlena, my PA, put you in touch with one of the leadership in Hope for South Africa, which is a political party, and they're doing very, very well. And I just have this intuition that it's a perfect, if I can call it a marriage, between Go Purple and that organization, because what you're talking about is very much on their radar as well. So if you're interested, I know Marlena's watching. I'll get her to put someone in touch with you, because I think they could certainly give you the exposure that you need. Now, you've mentioned that you're an activist, and I've seen you as an angel, not an activist personally, but I'm just saying. But
Thanks.
Can activists still play a role in South Africa when we consider what happened in Groblersdal, which was clearly the ANC sending a message to groups like Bitter Reinders, that
Yes.
if you interfere in our business, you're going to land up in the court system, you're going to land up in prison, you're going to land up spending big bucks to defend yourself. What is the role of activists in the future in South Africa?
Well, Scott, for many of us that are in contact on a daily basis, we are redefining our positions, because the trauma that I experience on a daily basis, and I was always willing to do that, but it has reached a point whereby you say, do you want to continue doing this? Or is there a different role? And that's where I'm busy with the Lord. I will never just stop, when I do decide, when the season is really going to be effective changing for the Purple Foundation, I might be the one going for the first time to get some money so that we can pay wonderful people with an ethical code of conduct in conducting their daily business, like social workers, like lawyers, like psychologists. So then I will be going out there getting the money to pay these people. Because what is the use? And yes, after bitter einders, and we prayed a lot, I could not. It brought a lot of trauma back to me. It was very triggering for me, especially when Devin and TV went to hand themselves over, and they was arrested, and then they were kept in jail. That whole thing was appalling. I cannot, and I don't want to talk about it because it still needs to continue, but that made me very scared to say. And in that same period, I did a live on my Facebook, and an advocate phoned me, and she threatened me with arrest.
What?
And I don't know what else. Yeah, she wanted me to remove my live video because I was saying that the judicial system was captured. I said to her, but it is. She was she threatened me. She was my child. She threatened me with arrest. My child was in the kitchen. I arrived back from school where I fetched him. My helper was in the house. They heard her saying to me, I will effing see that you get arrested. You will remove. And I never said anything wrong in that live video. She threatened me the next morning. And that was in the time that the bitter einders was still in the jail cells in Groblersdal. So she threatened me, and that next morning, 4 minutes to 5, she WhatsApped me actually in writing the most threatening message. And I just decided, you know what?
Can you WhatsApp that to me?
Would you like to have it?
Yes, I will. With your permission, I will put up a video and say this is the type of abuse that lawyers in South Africa are sending out to innocent people.
But Scott, I've got so much to lose. I've got a son. Yeah, I've got my husband.
Maybe we should leave it. Yeah, look, but
yeah. But I was thinking about doing a lot of things. But you know what? At the end of the day, I have learned from these bullies that you should not entertain them, because when you cut off the oxygen that they want from you, they can't do anything. So I didn't remove the video. And in the past I would have, because I was so afraid. And I realized that we should not be afraid of people that are qualified professionals, but they act like idiots and they act like bullies. I don't have to be afraid. So yes, so the role that I see myself playing would be, because when I was arrested, you remember my story, I could not do anything for that young girl that I was involved with. So I will never ever continue on a road if I know it will have me end up in jail, unless it's time when we as Christians will be prosecuted and wara. That is a different story. I'm talking about making now very wise and sound decisions when it comes to assisting or supporting or helping in the child protection area. We cannot continue like we did, because you mean nothing if you sit in a jail cell, and that case is going to keep them busy for many weeks and even months and even years. And it's costing money and effort to do what at the end of the day. So
I actually filmed that protest at Groblersdal. It's actually on my live streams, and I saw exactly what transpired with that confrontation with the police, and they did nothing wrong. Okay, Francois, I think it is, one of the leaders who pushed through the police, and he was tackled, and he got a few bruises. He is a small guy. But Devon and TV and that idiot Petzer, all they were doing was just sort of ranting off at the police, but they weren't abusing them or whatever. I mean, it was a total overkill, and it just reflects how bad things have become in South Africa. I put up a video earlier this week where a reporter was following a taxi boss to a taxi rank, and for this taxi boss to actually get to the taxi rank, he needs an armored guard with him. He's got two buckies, one behind and one in front of him, and as they get close to the taxi rank, the three vehicles stop, and four armed men get out of these vehicles which are with him. They've got AK-47s, okay? It's not just revolvers. They've got AK-47s, and they actually walk alongside this taxi boss's car until he gets to the taxi rank. And the whole time they're watching, because he's got R1 million a bounty on his head. R1 million.
Sure.
And there have been 5 attempts to kill him already, because another competing taxi boss wants to take over his 500 taxis. And this South Africa is in a complete state of anarchy. The police don't do anything about this. You know, it is absolutely beyond crazy. But okay, let's just continue with the situation here. You've got a dream, and that is to establish a 24/7 helpline for children in need in South Africa. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Scott, I think it took a while for me to realize that I don't have to go and do the job myself, because right now I'm turning 56 very soon, and I would love to see a young group of people to come and continue what we've started 16, 17 years ago. And that might mean that for the next weeks and months and years, we, together with the psychologists and the social workers, would use our premises as a training facility where we can actually train people to be vigilant in their communities, but also act within the parameters of the law when it comes to crime. Like, for instance, and I'm not saying anything about Diasville, but in Diasville, where Jocelyn was taken, or where she disappeared, I heard from a very close police friend who's in contact with police people there that the scent of Jocelyn couldn't be found because of all the people trampling on or in that place where she was. So it's very important as activists or community workers, whatever they want to call us, that we train the community in protecting crime scenes. But saying that is now the bigger dream. But if a child, and we spoke about especially Afrikaans, Scott, because there's so much help for English people, but there are so little help for a place where an Afrikaans kid can phone in and say in Afrikaans, luister hierso, ek is in die moeilikheid, which means I'm in big trouble, please come and help me. Yeah. So I would love to see our foundation being a place with one number where a child can call in and say, please help me, my family is in trouble, my mom and dad are fighting, I'm so afraid, can you please send help? So the aim is to use, God has blessed me with wonderful network partners around South Africa, and I believe it will grow as we are requested for help. But the dream is to have that line or number available so that children can know, because 10111, children will call 10111, but there are so many crimes and requests for help and complaints that the police are always busy. They are always busy. So we want to see a line where only children or somebody that knows of a children who are in terrible danger, that they can call in and we can actually act by using Buurtwag, CPF, dedicated police members, our own social workers, community workers, so that we can get to a child before we need to stand at a court where we are protesting and we say no bail for the perpetrator because another child died. So that is the dream. And in order to do that, I need to make that big choice to say, for a few months, I will not be available to assist. I cannot, because I'm going to build now. I'm going to
Sorry, guys, it will come
find
back.
donations. There is something in my heart that I want to say. I believe I've built relationships with beautiful people at DSD, and I believe they are beautiful. And I'm dreaming about when we go there with Mariki, our psychologist, that they are going to say, Annari, but we are willing to pay your social worker. We are willing to pay them because you've showed us. Some of them know me for 16 years. They know how I fought. They know how they fought me, and we're still here. So I'm looking forward to that. So, and even if we start small, Scott, because you know what? In every town, it has always been my desire to say, in every town, we should know who are our children in need. How difficult can that be? You've got the schools. Who knows who are the children who comes to school? I mean, I wish you could speak to a principal that he's such a wonderful principal. I've never seen a principal at a school do so much for his children like this principal. But you know what? Bringing him out here, speaking to you, what will that be? Because I come after, I'm realizing the more light we shine on somebody who's bringing that rain of light, the more trouble that man will get. Unfortunately, it's like that.
Yeah. Now look, I've
So,
got a couple of people who've asked this question.
yes.
Gavin has said, for example, what happened to Childline?
Well, I cannot. I know that with Siobhan's case that Chanel Brimmer did send pictures and information to Childline and in regards to Siobhan when she was still alive, and they never even responded on the email. I know that I have called them twice, and it was a very negative experience because, and I'm not gonna, it was a negative experience. So I don't know. It's a question we need to find out. Is there anybody who can come and explain to us? Maybe a representative of Childline to explain how's it working with Childline, how's it going, things like that. Because I don't use them right now because the 2 times that I did use them, it was negative. The same with Ramaphosa's call center there in Pretoria. I mean, I emailed them and say, can we please become stakeholders? Because Scott, listen to this. It's actually so easy. The more stakeholders you have, and do all the necessary tests, let them go and do the security clearances. I will do all of those things. But if you have a call center, and I discussed it with them, and you've got somebody from Van der Bijl Park calling in saying, listen, there at 20 Poggenpoel Street, there is a couple beating on a child. I'm a stakeholder. I'm not a police. I'm not a social worker, but I'm a dedicated community worker, a stakeholder who will get into my car, even if in my pajamas, and I will go there to that address and I will see what's going on. And I can assess the circumstances and I can say, listen, yeah, everything is calm and we can, but it's not difficult to start really acting where children are in danger.
Yeah.
But it's like, so many people wants to make it complicated, but it's not. So the dream is to get them to have a number in Van der Bijl or maybe even the World Triangle and have people trying to be able to take that call and to react and act to safeguard a child that might be in huge trouble. And that is the dream, and I believe we're going to do it. Maybe in a year's time when we speak, you will hear good things. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Well, look,
very much.
I just want to say you've got a crazy situation in South Africa where the
Yes.
abuse of children because of the poverty right through all sectors of the community, the abuse of children is completely out of control.
Yes.
And yet this corrupt mafia ANC government want to bring in the Bella Bill that is going to exacerbate or worsen that situation. It is absolutely crazy. Now, look, just getting back to this dream that you have. let's just say, and there won't be, but let's just say hypothetically, there's some person associated with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation who's listening, and he's saying, "Oh, that's a good cause." How much money do you need to actually establish what you want to do?
Well, Scott, it's for me, I always believe you don't start like so. You start like this, be accountable with
But
this, and grow.
yeah, but if you had the money available so you could grow, I mean, how much to
Well,
get to where you wanted to be? How much money would be involved to actually get there?
well, it's difficult for me to say that now because first of all, I want to pay my social workers good. I
Yeah,
want to pay them a good salary and I want to give them a
yeah.
great office. They don't have to struggle with
But
fuel
I
and
mean,
print.
the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, $1 million to them is not even petty cash. It's nothing. So I mean, if they were to say, go purple, here's $5 million,
Well,
go for broke. How would that help you get started?
oh, Scott, I believe in my heart it would be, and that's the thing, and that's why I just said it to my friend today.
Yeah,
I always want to be a humble person. You know, some people when there's so much money coming to you, you start by eating that money yourself. And my husband is really amazing. He's taking care of me. But yes, 1 million um, would take us far. And I believe in my heart we will get good people.
yeah,
And I love, Scott, there's one thing I think people must know about me is I love to be accountable. If you give me 10 Rand, um, I want to give you actually 15 back. That's what I've learned
yeah.
recently because
Well,
I've got donators who would bring me a bicycle and say, moet dit nou nie weer weggee nie, Annari. He would say to me with a lot of swearing words, don't give it away. Let me teach you something, you stupid fool. Then I'm like, this is a donator, eh? But I love my donators. He
yeah,
would stood like this with me. And you know what? With that bicycle, we sold tickets for the bicycle. We made almost 5,000 Rand with that bicycle.
wow,
And it was amazing. And that's where I started to actually journey on a new level to say that if a donator, like with what we're busy and you're going to ask me, I think you're going to ask me, I think it's on the question. So yes, I want to be accountable. And I think that is the problem in South Africa. There was a lot of money. Always. But there was no accountability and people stole that money. Their fingers were always in a bloody cookie jar and nobody held them accountable for 1 cent that was taken illegally. And I hate that. That is one of the things why we are where we are because of people stealing the money that is supposed to build South Africa. And it's no secret. You know that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so bring me that 1 million, Scott, and let's
Well,
build on this.
I have to tell you, we've had some amazing miracles on Lovey Life TV over the years. I mean, God is clearly watching this channel and watching people who are on it, and I have no doubt that He's got plans for you, and you know, you're doing, as I said, you're an angel. So
Thanks.
now look, just moving on. Poverty in South Africa is getting worse, and it's not going to get better under the ANC, that's for sure. So
Yes.
the other big issue that's coming up now, and I see Marlena earlier was talking about this on the side chat, and that is that food shortages in South Africa are now going to be, well, they're being predicted. So there's going to be a shortage of food, which means that food prices are going to go through the roof. How do we deal with this in communities? I mean, because it's if it's going to get worse, what you're talking about here is only like just the tip of an iceberg, isn't it?
It is indeed. Sorry, Scott. I've read this book, When Helping Hurts. It's an amazing book that really meant a lot to me in the past 2 years, where we intend always to want to go and help communities, whereby in this book I have learned that communities have to learn to help themselves. You can help them. You can bring you can have an impact by sitting with them and facilitate the challenges, and it's really an amazing book. People that wants to really get involved, When Helping Hurts by Steve Corbett and Brian Fickett, it's an amazing book, and it helped me a lot to say, Annari, you can't save the world. Jesus did that many years ago. So you need to stand a little bit back in communities. When we talk about shortage of food, if people in South Africa right now does not know that, it would be sad, because we know that, we can see that. So you have to have a plan. Might it be having seed that you can plant? You have to prepare. I mean, we know the going is going to get tough. We know that. And I don't know if you saw, Scott, but the farmers in the Free State area around us now are really, really, really stressed out. I mean, if we don't get good rain, and it looks like Monday we might have some rain, but it is so dry that they are losing their crops. And that, so I cannot say to you, I do not have the answers. What I know is part of what I want to see myself doing in the next few years to come is to empower people by setting an example. So at the trauma center, see if we can start up with a little garden, and teach people to start that garden. There's many things, but I've been so busy with children, and I'm not saying I'm going to walk away, but I will empower a younger generation, because I think sometimes we think our older people have all the answers. And I have some. Maybe one night I can introduce you to some of the beautiful young women who said, Tannie Annari, I want to come and work with you. And they've got an amazing story, and I love them and they love me. I didn't even know they loved me so much until they came and said, but we want to do what you do. And they're in business, they do business, they work. But right now, there's a dominee in Van der Bijl who's an amazing what do I say, a reverend. He's a churchman. So a pastor, but he's not that pastor, he's the dominee.
Right.
I don't know what.
Yeah, that's
but
priest.
anyway, it's the same thing.
Whatever.
Yeah, and he is so passionate. So right now I'm just saying, I will not live in fear, but I'll also not be stupid. So you and I need to empower each other by saying, look, what are we going to do to prepare? Because the word of God also says trouble will come. So what are we going to do? I think it starts with all of us to go and sit in your house and say, it breaks my heart to see how people are wasting food. Scott.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, go and look at how food all like all around the world, for that matter. It's not just South Africa. So on the economic challenges, I believe if you wait or you think you're going to always WhatsApp Tannie Annari for a food voucher, yeah, you need to find a way to take care of yourself. We will always be there to help if we can and when God speaks. But charity begins at home, and I believe in my heart that everyone living in whatever country must look at your future, planning, what would I do if there is a problem with food? What would I do? It's not my job to tell you or to provide for you. You need to look at these things and really, and that's why it's important to read books that will empower us to empower other people. We can't live their lives and we can't prepare for them. They need to do it themselves. It sounds harsh, but unfortunately it's the truth.
But it's rather like that old quote, you can give someone a fish, but if you can teach them how to fish, then, they're up and running.
Scott, can I say something? I just need to say this, and I'm saying this with the most love in my heart. And I made my first live video this year was about, there's a group of professional beggars in our country. They have people like myself's WhatsApp numbers on their phones, and I can give you many examples where people would WhatsApp me, and especially in Christmas, there was 15 families who WhatsApp me, and I said, Lord, we don't really have funds, but I'm going to trust you. I'm going to do a live, and when you provide, we will help these people. Now, Scott, God is so faithful. We got 20,000 Rand. I wanted 15 and we got 20,000 Rand. So I handed it out to these families. Some of them got a little bit more because there were more people. Some got a little bit less.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of money, but it was something. 2 weeks later, some of those people WhatsApp me again. You know what? Can you please buy me some electricity? You know what? Especially those that always got from the Purple Foundation. But I said, for the first time in my life in 2024, I want to support, I want to help the mother and the father who's working their butts off, long hours, but they don't make ends meet. Their budget just does not, it's not working, okay? I want to help them because most of these professional beggars, they don't want to work because it's so easy to WhatsApp Tannie Annari or to WhatsApp Annari and say, look, and then they traumatize me by saying to me, you know what, I've got a little baby in the house, I don't have nappies, and it's the same people all over again. So somewhere I needed from the foundation side to draw a line and say, look, we can't do this anymore because it is not good for us, but it's also not good for you. You need to go and find a job, do something, wash your car, wash clothes, do something, because you will feel good and you will earn something to buy your bread, and then you're gonna feel much better about yourself. So yeah, it was a huge thing for me to do, but we had to, because we cannot just give all the time to those people who does not work or even want to work, because there's always somebody at the foundation who will hand out a voucher or money or etc.
Yeah.
So it was hard for me, but we drew that line. It's not so easy to get a voucher anymore from us.
Well, look, I've I found that on platforms like YouTube, they have what they call e-beggars. Now, these are people who are not financially in trouble. They're doing very, very nicely. Thank you very much. But they put up a YouTube channel and they're constantly saying, oh, can you support the channel? Can you keep us going? And, you know, they've got these special little memberships and all this sort of shit. And I look at that. I mean, Loving Life TV has never, ever had a special little clique of people who can afford to pay, let's say, 100 Rand a month or whatever, so they can see some videos that no one else can see. Or, you know, and then there's sort of, you know, put that in the super chat for me. Or, you know, if you do that, I'll answer your question, or I'll salute you, or I'll do whatever. You know, I just, that to me is e-begging. I'm sorry, and I've never ever participated in that. But look,
I agree completely, Scott. And somewhere, and that's why, you know what, you worked hard. You and Malena worked hard to build this. And I've been working hard to build this, what I have. And I need people to understand God will always bless hard work. But if you sit on your butt with your phone in your hand and you WhatsApp and you Facebook and you always ask, but you don't do anything one day, I will not help you. I cannot do this anymore. Really. It sounds harsh, but unfortunately, we've given away thousands of rands. And it's not about the money. It's about, I want to see you stand up and work for your money, because you're going to, even if it's a car that you want, even if it's what, God will make a way if you truthfully want to make a way for yourself. Yeah. And that, I think you can agree with me.
Absolutely. And you know, just for the record, over the years, Loving Life has raised about 1.5 million Rand for charities. And it's a huge amount of money, and I'm just so blessed that we were able to do that. And thank you to the Loving Life community who made that possible. Now, just getting back to children, the mental health of our children and communities is going downhill really fast. And I think something that's exacerbating that situation is the smartphone, because parents, to keep their kids quiet, they give them a smartphone, and the kids get on that smartphone and they become absorbed in it, and it becomes their life. So they distance themselves from interaction, playing outside. Clive sent me a video, which I'm going to put up today on Loving Life TV, which talks about children back in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, where we used to go out and play. We used to go and talk to other kids. We didn't have smart devices. We didn't have the internet. We were blessed because the internet has basically destroyed the mental health of children today. And they're called snowflakes. They've got no understanding of interacting and empathy. What are your views on what's happening to the world today when it comes to the impact of smartphones and just the internet on young children?
Scott, I looked at the movie Digital Cocaine, and I let my almost teenager then look at it with me. My husband also looked, and what I see on a daily basis is exactly what you say. They can't communicate. They can't have a normal conversation. The stuff, I was sitting at my child's school 2 weeks ago. I was waiting. He's playing rugby, so I was waiting outside. I was in the car, but I was sitting and I was looking at 3 high school boys. It looked like this.
Yeah.
And they were playing games, but the foul language that came from their mouths, and it was like, I can't even say it here. The language that came, and the sad part for me, they are maybe now your seniors in high school, and like 5 steps away from them were young girls. They are the juniors in the high school. And those girls were sitting there. And that boys, now I wanted to get out of the car, not fight with them. I just wanted to walk over. I wonder if they would actually listen to me. But because they were crazy. And the other thing was, one of them were vaping. So it was these horrible languages, the vaping, and they were really like this.
Yeah.
It was, and then I realized, my hair is purple, so if I get out of the car and I walk towards them and speak to them, I might put a thing on my child's head, because who the hell is your mother to come and interfere with us? That kind of thing. So it is horrible. It is really horrible what is happening in. And I would love for Yvonne, maybe, I don't know if, all of these big organizations have to get they have to go through so many things to get authorization to have an interview like this. But those people, the people from mental health, and Yvonne is an amazing woman. She's always been there for me. To sit actually with a woman like that, she's the one who can talk to you, and maybe Mariki as well, on what they are seeing with children, young, not even teenagers. I'm talking about my last course that I did with Dr. Yolinda. She was talking about an 8-year-old, Scott, 8 years old, that needed to go into a rehab, like for drug addiction. He had to go into rehab for phone addiction. He could not, if they take the phone away, he would ramp and rave. He would get so violent. He would stab people with knives. It was horrible. He was 8 years old. So that's only the little bit that I know. But unfortunately with the schools, my son is now in high school. He's a junior there. And I'm sick to my stomach if he comes to me 7 o'clock in the night and he says the teacher just sent something through on WhatsApp. They need to do this. So for me, it's like, I wish we could just go back to 1968 when we were in school, when we had books and papers and pens, no cell phones, and we had joy and we had fun and we could play and we could socialize, because we don't see that. I don't see that. And yeah, I don't know how are we going. It's not just in South Africa, it's everywhere. Social media, if you see what these youngsters are putting onto social media, it makes you sick to the core. But you know what? We as parents in every house, you need to start to take care of your child. It's going to be hard, but if you're not going to do it, you might lose your child. And that's unfortunately the reality. So I would call my son and say, come out of your cave. I need to have you in my kitchen. Jy's nou bietjie lank genoeg in die grot. Too long in your cave. Come out. I need to look at you. Come and sit with me.
Yeah.
Make effort.
But they're going to
sit with your child.
But Annari, they're going to make it worse because they're now bringing in this meta world where you've got goggles on your face and you live in a completely different fantasy world. You don't have to travel outside your bedroom because you can be walking down the streets of London. You can be flying over the Middle East. You can be swimming in the Atlantic Ocean. You can be doing anything that you can do physically on your goggles or in your goggles, and people get totally lost in it. It's really, really disturbing.
Yeah, Scott, you know what? Luckily, me and you know God, and we know that,
Yeah.
yes, things are going to get tough, but we can only do what we can do. And that's why for the years that are left for me, I need to find a way to, what I've learned over the years, to see how can I practically hand it over to a generation and even learn from them, because not all of them are like that. We still have a bunch of youngsters that is not lost to social media and is still focused on bringing some change. And I'm going to look for them because I believe in my heart they're not the lost generation, even though people say they are the lost gen. I will never speak that over our youngsters because there's always hope. And we pray that God will give us wisdom, those that are not taken in by social media, that they will show those taken in that there is a life behind your cell phone and social media and all these things. It is true, there is a lot. But we as parents also, Scott, it's just not the youngsters, because how much time do we spend on our phones? And also, you say we give it to the kids to keep them busy, but you take your own phone to just forget about what happened in your day.
Yeah. Well, look,
It's like that.
Just on that point, Annari, I should just mention to you that I have an eye problem. I can only see through one eye, and the Loving Life community know this. But from the end of March, I'm basically handing over Loving Life TV to a series of presenters. You know, people who produce videos and put them up onto Loving Life TV. And I'm actually having my last live stream, official live stream, at the end of March on Loving Life TV, because if I don't do that, the ophthalmologist, who's obviously an eye expert, has said that I will go blind because I'm spending too much time in front of the computer. And that's the reason I've had to make that decision. I'm just mentioning that so that you're aware. So if you do have videos you want to put up, just speak to Marlena and we'll sort it out so we can just get those videos straight up onto Loving Life TV, because we love your work. We love you're one of the most dynamic people I know. I mean, you've got such an incredible spirit, and you know it's absolutely beautiful to see. Now, okay.
Scott, can I just, you were a little bit vulnerable in that moment that you disclosed what you just said, and I'm so sorry to hear that, and I'm praying that God will come and do a miracle, because he starts when there's no hope, when we're down and out, he starts. But let me be vulnerable for a few seconds with you in regards to me also having to make hard decisions, and I'm going to really try and contain my emotion right now. Siobhan Rush's case was one of the hardest cases I ever worked on. And my mental health took a huge knock last year because I could not understood how adult people could hurt a 3-year-old like they did with her. And then after Siobhan, there was a lot of rape cases, and it's all cases that are going to court, where I realized that my mental health, for the first time in 16, 17 years, I really had to go into the presence of the Lord and say, you know what, Lord, this is so hard. I don't know if I can continue on this road, because so many people has asked me over the years, how do you do this? And then I would have this answer ready, but it's not me, it's God. But I have realized yesterday when I sat with Mariki in a personal session one-on-one, I said to her, I can tell her, and I can tell you and your viewers tonight, that sometimes it is not, I'm not losing anything by saying I'm stepping a little bit away from being there where the tacky hits the tar. I'm going to be still there, but a little bit away from the trauma, because I can say today that I have to do it for my own sake right now. I need to step a little bit away. I have to, and I still want to empower these youngsters that has come to the table and say, Tannie Annari, I've watched you over the years. I was young. I'm now older. I need to do this. I want to do this. Will you help me? And I just want to say thank you for sharing that little bit of information, because I know there will come a time that I would say, I'm going to be still there, but I want to hand over to a younger generation who are willing, because what would it mean if we die, Scott, and we didn't share what we have learned with the younger generation? I hope you hear what I'm saying. So I will be there, continuing doing what we dream about, want to do, but maybe just in a different position, because I also need to take care of myself. And it's been hard since last year. The rape cases and the children cases that we are involved with is horrible. And I need to step. That's why I have to find social workers to come and continue what I've been doing, but I will support them. I will make sure they've got the best car, the best office, a good cup of coffee. They will have so much love. They will have a wonderful surrounding, because I know they need that to continue the work that we have been doing for the past 17 years.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share that with you. We have to take care of ourselves as well.
Well, there's a comment that's just been put in the side chat, which I want to share with you. And Keith, who I know, I met Keith back in November last year, lovely guy, and I met his wife. And Keith writes, wonderful lady, wise words. Well, there you go. That kind of sums it up. Now, I'm going to just wrap up the live stream shortly, but before I do, you've touched on bullying in schools, and this is a huge problem, and it does result in young children committing suicide. I mean, this is, and unfortunately, through smart devices where bullying takes place, it also results in suicide with young children. Did you want to talk to us about that? Because it is a huge issue, isn't it?
It is a huge issue, and that's one of the reasons that for the past 10, 12 years, I've been really active in the protection of children. Where nobody wants to act, we act. But the dolls that I showed in the beginning, these wonderful dolls, there's a reason why I have them, and I like to build stuff. I like to make stuff. So my husband already, I wish I could go out in the dark and show you now, brought many pallets to me. I think there's 60 pallets. You know what a pallet is, that wooden stuff. And I wanted to build bully benches, I call it a bully bench, but that I would deliver at a school where we have trained our bully buddies, which means that in the schools in Vanderbijl, and Mariki went to a man yesterday, I want to build the benches, but she said, Annari, you can make it nice. I will get somebody for you to build it. Okay, so the plan is to actually have our bully buddies in schools in the Vaal, where we have trained them to just go and sit with somebody who sits on the bench. So the thing is, victims of bullies have got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And the bully has got so much authority, which I want to say that's bull crap, because the bully actually is a broken person himself. So with the bully benches, and I cannot wait also for the first day that we are going to deliver, and that's why I'm so happy Mariki is on board, and the social workers that I'm praying for that will be coming on board, that we will create safe spaces where the victims of bullies can actually come forward in a protective way. They can be protected. We will help them to help themselves, but also identify the bullies in schools, because we know that they also need help. But yeah, it's a big reality, Scott. I can just tell you with the ontgroening. What is that in English now? That's when the children are going to high school, but the juniors, that is wat is ontgroening nou?
Oh, the first year.
Yeah, that first few weeks at
Yeah.
school when they are going to do things. You know, the seniors have done things to bullies. I heard about a scenario 2 years ago where the junior was going into the bathrooms, and it actually happened now in this year also. I'm on a group and I saw it happen, and it broke my heart, whereby the junior went to the bathrooms and there were seniors there, and they forced him to vape, and he didn't want to, and he left the bathroom, and then he wet himself because he couldn't use the bathroom. And a year after that, he disclosed what happened that day. So we could actually educate our son to say, if you go to the bathrooms and such an event happens, this is how you should act. So I think at the end of the day, on bullying, we are giving the bully, that's my opinion. We have, and I did it myself because I had to deal with a huge bully in the past 2 years. Last year was horrible. We give them too much authority over our lives.
Yeah.
And listen to what I'm saying. So if you are happy with you, if you do you are happy. My hair is purple, and I had to deal a few times with bullies, and it's like, it's okay if I'm the reason why you feel you have to say something negative, but I actually love my purple hair. I know the reason why it's purple. I wish you would ask me, but it's fine. I will not give you authority over my life. So for us, it is important that parents of children build good self-esteem, because if a child knows who he or she is, it makes it difficult for the bully to actually have an impact on their life. Does it make sense for you?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So we need, and it's not just like we teach our children to deal with these bullies. No, we teach our children to love themselves, to have peace with themselves, to not allow other people to come and say things, and then you give them reaction or you give them oxygen because somebody said it. So it's like the police who said to me, Anna, you know what? Cut off the oxygen, then they will move away. But as long as we are giving a bully the authority over our lives, and we give them feedback, we interact with them, it will never stop. And we need victims of bullies to understand, do not give the bully so much authority or make him bigger as what he is, because he isn't. He's actually a broken person, he or she. So yeah, it's horrible in schools. We hear it on a daily basis. But again, it's coming back to the houses, saying to parents, don't fight fire with fire. Teach your child to be happy, to love himself or herself, have a good self-esteem, cut off the oxygen. And yes, if it's violent, if it's criminal, report it. Do not stay quiet. If it's criminal, you report it, not at the school, yes, at the school, but also drive somewhere to the police station and report it there, and keep on reporting it until somebody does something. That's very important.
Yeah. All right. Annari, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been a very enlightening. It always is. I mean, I love your energy. It is so powerful. Just in wrapping up, is there something a message you'd like to share with people?
Yeah, Scott, I think we can all go and sit and feel hopeless and speak about all the negativity and be afraid and live in fear, and but that will not take us forward. Or we can stand up every day and say, you know what, I'm going to make a difference. Even if it's such a little bit of difference, I'm going to make it, because I know my maker. I know God is still in control. I know that the sun is coming up. I know if I look at the change of seasons, winter time is now, autumn is coming, and then winter, I see the flowers. I see there is still life. And then I focus on that. So I'm just one of those people that say, please do not cry. Work through your pain, because pain is pain. And it's, you know, people, let's be honest, Scott, in South Africa, there are so many people who lost a loved one because of a murder, violence, illness, whatever. People are hurting in South Africa, but I think all around the world are hurting. And please do not go and hurt other people because you are hurting. Go and deal with your pain. Take it to the Lord. And if you don't want to take it to the Lord, put something up, heat it, or do something. Do not hurt other people because you are hurting. And that's all I can say. Start, you know, God starts at dood. He starts at death. He resurrects us. When we are down and out, that's where God begins. And Scott, with that, I want to ask if I can do a short prayer. I want to pray with you as well.
Yeah.
I want to pray with you as well. And then, thank you again for Marlena, for the opportunity always to come and just share what we've been going through. And there's always hope. So I'm going to pray with us. Thank you so much for this. Lord Jesus, thank you so much for Scott and Marlena on this wonderful channel, all the viewers. Lord, thank you that we do not have to despair, because you are still God and you are still in control. Father, I pray in this night over Scott's eyes. Lord, his eyes are your eyes. And I pray, God, that I will be contacted soon by Marlena saying, something happened. It's not about me, Lord. It's all about you, that you have touched his eyes in the name of Jesus, and that he can see better than ever before. Father, I pray for Marlena. I pray that you will hold her, will guide her, will protect her, and that you will provide this channel with whatever they need, because you know, Lord, you know their hearts, you know what they're doing. And thank you, Jesus, for providing for so many years already for them. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity, Lord, to just share what's happening in South Africa. And Father, I want to glorify your name and say, even though it is bad, we will still love you. We will still let your light shine. And Father, we will still work to bring change. We will still show people that you are very much alive, even though circumstances in our country wants to believe. Let us believe otherwise. Father, thank you for tonight. Everyone who's looked at this channel, bless them, Father, like only you can. You know each one of them. And thank you that you are faithful, that you are loving, and that you are enough. We honor you in the wonderful name of Jesus. Amen and amen.
Amen.
Thanks, Scott. Thank you so much. And I hope to hear from your eyes, eh? I'm going to keep on praying.
Thanks, Annari. And you have a lovely weekend.
Thanks. Yeah, we're off to rugby tomorrow morning. My son is playing, and then we will be working on the castor oil and the other things that we are busy with. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Is your husband there?
No, I think he's in bed because he came from Lady Smith today. So
okay.
I didn't eat. My food is still on the table. So, I don't want to let people wait for me. But it was such an honor and a privilege. And may God just bless you. We will talk again.
Absolutely. Thanks, Annari. Take care. Yes. Bye for now.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye, Marlena. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.
All right, guys, that was Annari du Plessis, and what an amazing lady she is, a real dynamo. We've had her on our live streams probably 4 or 5 times, and I've just seen her grow and blossom, and very, very wise head on those shoulders. All right, guys, I'm going to now close off with a theme song, which is called He is a Boer. Okay. So, let's get that up.
He worked a year in Joburg till his opa called him home. He said, "Son, I'm way too old to work this farm alone." He's got a brother in Houston, a sister on the radio. If the farm wasn't so small, they'd both be here at home. He's a Boer. He's a fighter, he's a farmer, he's a city Afrikaner. And if the truth be told, he's a whole lot more. He's a son, he's a father, a husband and a lover. He don't need reminding what he's standing for. He's a Boer. He builds race cars in Houston. They say he's the best, but his dreams take him back to that farm in Northwest, to his opa and his brother. He wonders if they're safe. He'd go back if he could, but he just can't find a way. He's a Boer. He's a fighter, he's a farmer, he's a city Afrikaner. And if the truth be told, he's a whole lot more. He's a son, he's a father, a husband and a lover. He don't need reminding what he's standing for. He's a Boer. You can hear her in Pretoria. She's on the radio, but she'd throw it all away just to go back home to her brother and her opa and his loving arms. No matter where she goes, home is still that farm. She's a Boer. She's a fighter, she's a farmer, she's a city Afrikaner. And if the truth be told, she's a whole lot more. She's a daughter, she's a mother, a wife and a lover. And she don't need reminding what she's standing for. She's a Boer. They're fighters, they're farmers, they're city Afrikaners. And if the truth be told, they're a whole lot more. They're sons and daughters, mother mothers and fathers, and they don't need reminding what they're standing for. They're born. They're born.